Well, Sarah Davison is the divorce coach, so who better to speak about this? And what actually does a divorce coach do?
Yeah, it's a really catchy job title, isn't
Great.
it? Yeah, well, it does what it says on the tin, I guess. I help people to cope better with any kind of breakup, separation, heartbreak or divorce, really just adjusting to life as a single person. So a whole range of different things.
And obviously this has been, life's purpose, because you're a best-selling author, podcaster.
Yes, yeah. Well, you know what? It's interesting because it is my life's mission, and it came about because I went through a really devastating divorce myself about 15 years ago, and I'd been a coach for many, many years at that point, but I hadn't seen my own divorce coming. I was a life coach, general life and business coach. But when I went through my own divorce, it hit me like a freight train. It was just absolutely shattered. And I was a coach, so I was trained to manage my emotional state, but I just couldn't. I was a complete wreck. And I thought, gosh, how do people get through this? And to be honest, back then there was no help or support specific to this that I could find. So that's why I created my own tools, combining my coaching skills with that divorce process to get myself back up and get my son through this. And then I decided that I wanted to use that pain and turn it into my superpower, I guess, to help other people, so no one else had to feel as I did.
That's so interesting, isn't it? I love that idea that our own scars can help heal trauma in other people. I think that's, to be, all sorts of people go through all sorts of hideous things. And if you can, I'm not saying necessarily gratitude, that's a bit maybe dreamland that you're going to feel gratitude for it. But in a sense it is, because it helps you feel, it helps you have sympathy and empathy and have a life's purpose.
Absolutely, and because now I help people all over the world, and like you say, I have my books, but I also set up a training school in 2018 to train other people to become breakup and divorce coaches. And we've trained over 450 coaches now in 23 different countries. So
oh, wow.
I know, and all those people pretty much have gone through their own journey as well, and want to give back and turn that pain into their power, so they can go on and help other people. So, yeah, there's a lot of truth in that, a lot of truth.
And at the minute, divorce rates are expected to reach their highest peak in 50 years. What is this? Is this to do with pandemics and just general geopolitics, cost of living and everything else?
Yes, I mean, there's so many shifts. I mean, pandemic, we saw a huge rise in breakups and divorce for sure. Since then, obviously, cost of living crisis, financial stresses are one of the biggest reasons for breakup, because that is something that if you've got, if you fall out over finances, or it just puts so much stress on a relationship that obviously causes problems. So we are seeing that. There was also no-fault divorce that was introduced last year, which meant that it became easier to get divorced, that you don't have to allocate blame anymore. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, there is unfortunately a big rise in breakups. Obviously, if you get on well and you've got a great relationship, then quality time is a wonderful thing. But if there are cracks in the relationship, then spending that time together without the daily routine and distractions that you normally would have can also put pressure on the relationship too, sadly.
Yeah. Sarah Davison, divorce coach, and she's got some good practical tips coming up. Is it possible to keep things amicable? Clue number 2 coming on the Tune Twister.
When you love someone, it's natural, not demanding.
But right now, though, a little bit more from my guest for you. So her name is Sarah Davison, and she's what's known as a divorce coach. So basically somebody that tries to make the situation more amicable, more bearable, and just, if you can, keep positive in what's usually a bit of a sad situation, but keep positive. So we wanted to know what the practical tips were and the things that are important to think about when it comes to splitting up.
Yeah, it's absolutely possible to have what I'd call what Gwyneth termed as consciously uncoupling.
Yeah.
I mean, there is the other end, which I see more of with my personal clients, which I've termed aggressively severing, which is a lot more acrimonious. But unfortunately, if one of you is hell bent on causing problems, then it is hard to have an amicable divorce. But it is possible if both of you and you're in a healthy dynamic of a relationship, so there's no toxicity, no abuse, then it is definitely possible to get through it and to maintain that friendship, especially if you've got kids it's super important if you can. Splitting a lifestyle, you might be splitting time spent with the kids. These are really, difficult topics to handle. So it is going to bring out the worst and even the nicest of people. So I think I'm to say, look, if tensions rise, I know that your go-to is this and mine is this, but let's agree just to take a time out and come back when we can communicate in a kind, respectful way. And I think agreeing those ground rules really helps up front.
So interesting, that word communication, because I think that would change everything, from divorces to workplaces to neighbour life. Communication is so important, isn't it? And communicating effectively.
Yeah, I mean, this is life skills. Everything that we teach as breakup and divorce coaches, they are life skills. A lot of what we should be teaching those at school, we really need to bring them into that system,
I couldn't agree more. I know kids are on the internet and TV, YouTube and all of that all the time. I make my kids watch something called The Daily Stoic. I'm trying to make them learn to be stoic, because it's all about, not reacting and how you can't help what happens to you, but it's how you react to it that you can help, and all of that stuff.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really good.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and it's great to get that in as kids, because they're like sponges at that age.
Yeah.
They will absorb things. And also for kids, giving them coping mechanisms that are healthy is super important. Changing the way you think, the quality of the questions you ask yourself, instead of what's wrong with me, what can I do right now to make this a bit better, or who can I speak to who might be able to help me. There's so many different ways, but we just don't teach them.
Sarah, lovely to chat to you. And if people want to find out more about you and what you do, where can they find you?
Well, I'm on Instagram, Sarah Davison Divorce Coach, and my website is saradavison.com.
Super interesting. Thank you so much for chatting to us today on BBC Radio Newcastle.
Oh, thanks for having me.